Horror movies are meant to be fun and entertaining. Often people experience the wrong type of horror movie and end up writing off horror altogether. But that's not you, because you're here wanted to finally get into watching horror movies. So where do you begin? I'm Christy, and I'm one half of In Love with Horror, your destination for all things horror. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some of our top 5 per category horror movies for newbies. We decided to break our horror newbie recommendation list down into categories because not all horror is scary and not every horror film is the same and not every subgenre is for everyone. Think about what type of horror movie you are interested in and go from there. I, for example, am not a fan of gory films. Like, I can take it to a certain extent, but there is a limit for me. Whereas my co-host AJ can go as far as the sky. I think he can anyways. He's a bit of an extremist when it comes to his horror, and he can literally watch anything. So we've broken down our list into these categories: horror comedies, slashers, creatures, paranormal, supernatural / possession, psychological, gory, sci-fi, and found footage. And we've chosen 5 films for each category. You'll be able to use the chapters down below to navigate to the chosen category that you're interested in. Also worth noting, we are sure there are hundreds of movies that could be on this list. We are mentioning movies that we like and ones that we have seen. So if we haven't seen it or don't really like it, it might not be on this list. With that being said, if there's something that we don't mention and you think fits the categories that we've chosen, definitely add them to the comments. So people save this video, come back to the comments and see what other people suggest that you should watch as a horror newbie. All right, let's get into our list. Horror comedy. Shaun of the Dead. Shaun is a 30-something loser with a dull, easy existence. The only unpredictable element in his life is his girlfriend Liz, who wishes desperately for Shaun to grow up and be a man. When the town is inexplicably overrun with zombies, Shaun must rise to the occasion and protect both Liz and his mother. Deadstream. A disgraced internet personality tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself at an abandoned haunted house. When he accidentally unleashes a vengeful spirit, his comeback event becomes a fight for his life. The Blackening. 7 friends go away for the weekend only to find themselves trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. They must pit their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies against the murderer to stay alive. Scary Movie. Defying the very notion of good taste, Scary Movie out-parodies the pop culture parodies with a no-holds-barred assault on the most popular images and talked about moments from recent films, televisions, and commercials. Chad Gets the Axe. 4 social media influencers live stream their trip to Devil's Manor, the former home of a satanic cult, but things start to go wrong as the violence increases, so do the views. Slashers. Friday the 13th. A group of camp counselors trying to reopen a summer camp called Crystal Lake with a grim past are stalked by a mysterious killer. Scream. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl is terrorized by a masked killer who targets her and her friends by using scary movies as part of a deadly game. Child's Play. A struggling single mother unknowingly gives her son a doll that is possessed with a serial killer's consciousness. Totally Killer. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987. Determined to stop the killer before he can start. Halloween. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night, 1963, Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois to kill again. Creatures. The Thing. A research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. Jaws. When a killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Cape Cod, it's up to a local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down. The Descent. A caving expedition goes horribly wrong as the explorers become trapped and ultimately pursued by a strange breed of predators. The New Daughter. A single father moves his 2 children to a rural South Carolina town only to watch his daughter exhibit increasingly strange behavior. Crawl. A young woman, while attempting to save her father during a Category 5 hurricane, finds herself trapped in a flooding house and must fight for her life against alligators. Paranormal / possession. Oculus. A recently released inmate from a mental asylum learns from his sister that the murders he was convicted of committing were actually orchestrated by a supernatural entity. Final destination. Death stalks Alex Browning and a group of high school students who survived a doomed airliner. The ruins. A leisurely Mexican holiday takes a turn for the worse when a group of friends and a fellow tourist embark on a remote archaeological dig in the jungle, where something evil lives among the ruins. It lives inside. An Indian American teenager struggling with her cultural identity has a falling out with her former best friend, and in the process, unwittingly releases a demonic entity that grows stronger by feeding on her loneliness. It follows. A young woman is followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter. Psychological. The Shining. A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son seeks horrific forebodings from both past and future. Jagged Mind. Billy is plagued by blackouts and strange visions that lead her to discover she's stuck in a series of time loops, possibly related to her mysterious new girlfriend. Get Out. A young African American visits his white girlfriend's parents for the weekend, where his simmering uneasiness about their reception of him eventually reaches a boiling point. Identity. Stranded at a desolate Nevada motel during a nasty rainstorm, 10 strangers become acquainted with each other when they realize that they're being killed off one by one. Gory. 30 Days of Night. After an Alaskan town is plunged into darkness for a month, it is attacked by a bloodthirsty gang of vampires. The Evil Dead. 5 friends travel to a cabin in the woods where they unknowingly release flesh-eating demons. The Cabin in the Woods. 5 friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods. Hellraiser. A woman discovers the newly resurrected, partially formed body of her brother-in-law and lover. She starts killing for him to revitalize his body and escape the demonic beings that are pursuing him after he escaped their underworld. Jennifer's Body. A newly possessed high school cheerleader turns into a succubus who specializes in killing her male classmates. Can her best friend put an end to the horror? Sci-Fi. No One Will Save You. An exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. Alien. The crew of a commercial spacecraft encounters a deadly life form after investigating a mysterious transmission of unknown origin. Dark Skies. As the Barrett family's peaceful suburban life is rocked by an escalating series of disturbing events, they come to learn that a terrifying and deadly force is after them, one which may have arrived from beyond the stars. Signs. A widowed former reverend living with his children and brother on a Pennsylvania farm finds mysterious crop circles in their fields, which suggests something more frightening to come. A Quiet Place. A family struggles for survival in a world where most humans have been killed by blind but noise-sensitive creatures. They are forced to communicate in sign language to keep the creatures at bay. And my favorite, found footage. Wreck. A television reporter and cameraman follow emergency workers into a dark apartment building and are quickly locked inside with something terrifying. Unfriended. A group of online chat room friends find themselves haunted by a mysterious supernatural force using the account of their dead friend. Troll Hunter. A group of students investigates a series of mysterious bear killings, but learns that there are much more dangerous things going on. They start to follow a mysterious hunter, learning that he is actually a troll hunter. The Blair Witch Project. 3 film students vanish after traveling into a Maryland forest to film a documentary on the local Blair Witch legend, leaving only their footage behind. VHS. When a group of misfits are hired by an unknown third party to burglarize a desolate house and acquire a rare VHS tape, they discover more found footage than they bargained for. And there you have it. These are our 40 movies that we recommend for the horror newbie. As we said, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just ones that we recommend based on the categories that we chose and that we feel are good for people who are just getting into horror. But please, by all means, drop your recommendations down into the comments. Any additional categories you might think of might be good for a horror newbie, drop those as well. We'd love to see your recommendations. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. If you'd like to give it a thumbs up, if you haven't already, hit that red button and subscribe. We'd love to have you as a part of our community here and to join in on all things horror. And we'll see you in the next one.